Good afternoon, guys. We are back with another Blue Green Channel presentation. This time, we are going to talk about the Kohelia River in Cox's Bazar district in Bangladesh and the proposed Matarbari coal-fired power plants and the seaport. So, the Kohelia River in view of the Matarbari coal-fired power plants. Uh, Outline of my talk is going to be that I will talk about the proposed Matarbari coal-fired power plant, where it is located in the context of Kohelia River watershed, what ecosystems are present there, and the population that are going to be impacted by the proposed Matarbari seaport. So next is why is it really important, or why is it even a problem to build coal-fired power plants at Matabari? Well, there are a bunch of issues to do with the air pollution, greenhouse gas, geologic and oceanographic settings of the region, and displacement of people, endangered, ecologically critical areas in Sonadia Island, and aquaculture that's associated with that, natural beach at Cox's Bazar, and coast of the project. The state of the coal-fired power plants in the world and in our region, and is there any alternatives to the coal-fired power plants that is proposed at Matarbari? And if we have any time remains, then we'll talk about any question that you may have. Location of the Matarbari and Kohelia River. As per the Power Sector Master Plan 2015, Bangladesh will need about 79 million tons of coal every year by the year 2041, and Matarbari port is being built to deal with that imported coal, and the government thinks that this is the only suitable place to build a coal transshipment and transfer with deep sea port capabilities. Matarvari coal-fired power plants, as per the proposal, will generate 1200 megawatt of electricity. Total proposed in the region, Moheshkhali, Matarbari, and Kohelia complex was supposed to be over 8,000 megawatt, but the government has backed out of many of these projects, and they have postponed majority of this, but not the plant at Matarbari. Uh, Japanese International Cooperation Agency and the government of Bangladesh jointly is going to build that coal-fired power plants and the seaport at Matarbari. Uh, it is likely to cost over $2.79 billion, most of which will come through loan, and they will acquire about 1,500 acres of land or about 6,000 hectares of land. About 20,000 people will be affected by the project. At a shoreline within the zone, the Matarbari project will be located on a cyclone path at high sea level area near ecologically critical area, Shonadia, and salt industry. 40% of the people in the project area are below the national project, national poverty line. So here is the location of the Kohelia River, as you can see, and the Matarbari shown on the map. The most of these area is mangrove plantations. You can see from the symbols there, and the various kind of salt industry, salt pans, multiple crop fields, and residential area. And uh, comparative location to the ecologically critical zone, critical area, and other important ecosystem. There are several of those important ecosystems, such as the mangrove plantation, Moheshkhali Reserve Forest, Sonadi Island further to the south of Matarbari, Bangabandhu Safari Park, uh, Faishakhali Wildlife Sanctuary, Medakachpia National Park seafront of Cox's Bazar and Teknaf Himchari National Park. In view of all these important ecosystems that are present in this region, it is the question that we need to ask that it seems that Matarbari coal-fired power plants, like the Rampal near Mongla, should be avoided at any cost. There are other ecologically sensitive areas in this area, in the nearby zone, as you can see, Chokoria, Sundarbans, Bolkhali, mixed green forest, and Moheshkhali forest. And Sonadia Island, which is considered an ecologically critical area, that area is characterized by sand dunes and mangrove forest and cardio birds. This is an ecological treasure of the country and that needs to be protected at a level of a Ramsar site. To build that Matarvari coal-fired power plants, which is right here, from the uh, Chokoria Fasciakali area, there has to be access road built with 15 bridges on it, and coastal drainage network like the one near Matarbari is a connected system, and such intense interference is not desired. And you can see in this map that the access roads will literally obliterate the Kohelia River, which is right here. And in terms of the longshore current in this region and the dispersal of any coal waste, they will kind of get into the ocean during the transshipment and during the storage. They will find their way further south in the Sunadi Island and further down, maybe in the Cox's Bazar, because during a storm, the longshore current, which is very common in all ocean, a current that flows parallel to the shoreline, can reach up to 2.5 meter per second or 9 kilometer per hour. So it will take only few hours for any longshore current to carry the waste and any material from Matarvari area to Cox's Bazar in about 4 to 5 hours. So here Cox's Bazar is about 40 kilometer south of Matarbari, and at the rate of the longshore current, as I mentioned before, it will take about 4 to 5 hours to get to Cox's Bazar. And nearby region, there are several wildlife sanctuaries like Fashiagali Wildlife Sanctuary. Only 20. This is one of the 20 wildlife sanctuaries in Bangladesh. All wildlife sanctuaries together occupy only 1% of the country. Then why threaten them? Atrocity against the natural heritage in my mind. For comparison, Bangladesh like to compare always. Pennsylvania, uh, the size a little less than Bangladesh, has 58% land cover by state forest, and in comparison, the national wildlife sanctuaries occupy only 1% of the country in Bangladesh. And national parks, there are only a handful of them, and three of them are in the southern district near this proposed project at Matarbari. So why is our government are so insensitive to the environmental causes? That is the question I would like to ask. Let's look at the state of the coal power plants in the world. If you look at this map, the US coal-fired power plants are really closing, white meaning closing, and Europeans are mainly all are going to close. Only India and China, they are building the new one, operating and building new ones. Although China has also decided to close down some of their plants, and Australia are closing most of their coal-fired power plants. The reason we are mentioning Australia because the proposed Matarbari coal-fired power plants is likely to get the coal from Indonesia, from Australia, and from South Africa. So most of the coal-fired power plants in the world are further inland by river because ocean water is not all that good for coal-fired power plants, cooling towers. So you can see some of them are shown here as if they are on the shoreline, like the Haldia in West Bengal. And you can see in the next map here, although it is on the map looks like on the shoreline, but it's really far away from the shoreline. In the next diagram, I'll show you that actually, to be precise, Haldia coal-fired power plants in West Bengal is about 52 kilometer from the shoreline and about 40 kilometer to the nearest Sundarban areas. Whereas, for comparison, Matarbari coal-fired power plants is proposed to be right on the shoreline, and Rampal is only 14 kilometer away from the Sundarbans. So here is a modeling, air pollution modeling done by Lauri Milivarta of KRIA from Finland, and he shows that Matarbari coal-fired power plant will pollute, air will be polluting further to the north, further to the south of the proposed plant, and all the way, occupying all these ecologically sensitive areas. Not only the air pollution, there will be a lot of toxic metals that will be coming out of the smokestack of the coal-fired power plants, anything from arsenic, cadmium, chromium, cobalt, copper, lead, zinc. So concerns raised by stakeholder meetings for the Matarbari coal-fired power plants, authorities have organized several stakeholders meeting, and the residents raised concern about water logging. The solution proposed by the authority was there will be a lot of culverts, tidal surge and cyclone are problem in the area. People wanted embankments to be built to protect their villages and crops, and the authorities said that while the access road will provide some protection, the access road to be shifted to the south and north to avoid the residential area. They said they looked into all of these, and the proposed location of the road is the best. 1,000 people from 70 households from North Nalbila village will be displaced. There are many other concerns, like this project will not meet the air quality standard in Japan or other developed countries. Although Japan is a partner, the cost of the project is already overrun by 30% of the expected cost. Electricity cost for solar photovoltaic is estimated $91 per megawatt of electricity, whereas this project will cost about $135 per megawatt hour. The production cost of power is likely to be higher than that of the solar power. So other concerns displaced landless and poor people. By the way, 32% male involved in the shrimp and salt cultivation who will be affected by this project. Coastal zone is highly vulnerable to natural disaster, as I mentioned, and there are a lot of ecologically sensitive areas in this region. And Japan is apparently using outdated technology, although Japan could help with the green technology, following the ZICA's environmental policy of promotion of environmental measures through international uh, cooperation activities. So, are there alternatives to these coal-fired power plants? Apparently, there is. So, if we look at this graph, we can see the solar potential in Chittagong area is 5,360 uh, as opposed to uh, 2,300 in Cologne, Germany. So obviously it is almost twice as much in Chittagong. So on average, 1 megawatt of electricity uh, will occupy about 1 hectare of land. If you remember, Matarvari coal-fired power plant it will occupy about 600 hectares of land. So it by the solar photovoltaic, there is a potential that government could generate 600 megawatt of electricity. Yes, it is half as much as what they are proposing for the coal-fired power plants, but solar is so much more uh, environmentally friendlier. But solar thermal requires substantially less area, which can also be looked into. So here is a picture of a solar thermal. Most of the time we talk about solar photovoltaic. Solar thermal apparently requires only um, 10% of the total area uh, as compared to the photovoltaic. So solar photovoltaic sort of for solar thermal can be combined with limited agricultural use of the land, so that land will not be off limit to other land uses with the current technology. in the same area, maybe offshore wind and wave energy can be harnessed, while renewable energy zone can also be set aside as a marine protected area. So, shrimp and salt cultivation most likely can coexist in selected area. So, environmentally sustainable land use that is socially inclusive, that is need to be investigated before the proposed coal-fired power plant can move forward. Thank you very much, and let's just end this presentation here.